Welcome back to The Farm Show here on Westplex Talk 104.5. I'm your host, John Combest. Thanks for joining us this Saturday morning. Do you follow us on Facebook? Why not? Whip out your phone, open that Facebook app, and look up Farm Show Radio. That's Farm Show Radio on Facebook. Are you more of an Instagram person? Heck, I am. I'm just now learning how to use Facebook. If you're on Instagram, you can check us out at the same handle, Farm Show Radio. Last week in B Block, we focused on agronomic recommendations for corn and soybean farmers. We looked at a lot of diseases that are ravaging corn plants here in our four-county area. We've also talked in the last 2 weeks in B Block about soybeans as well. Well, you could consider that the farm part of the Farm and Ranch Show. Today, we're going to focus on the ranch part of Farm and Ranch Missouri, and that is beef and beef producers. We're going to start out with an event right here in Missouri for beef producers. Then we're going to go to an update from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. They just had a summer meeting in San Diego. Did you miss the meeting? Did you not have a chance to go to San Diego for a few days and hear what they had to say? Well, you're in luck. If you couldn't make it, the folks from NCBA recapped the key takeaways from their meeting. We'll share those in just a few minutes. Then we'll take a look at a piece from mid-Missouri focused on Wagyu beef. And we'll wrap up today by focusing on a Wagyu beef producer right here in our four-county listening area. First, let's start off with an event happening just down the road in Springfield, Missouri. And it's the Stockmanship Stewardship event in less than a month to be held September 4th through the 6th. It's the ultimate two-day experience for cattle producers, offering a unique opportunity to enhance your operation. This event is packed with low-stress cattle handling demonstrations, secure beef supply training, beef quality assurance, that's BQA, certification opportunities, and expert-led facility design sessions. You'll gain hands-on experience and cutting-edge knowledge from stockmanship pros Kurt Pate and Ron Gill, while learning innovative techniques to optimize your operation. Whether you're looking to improve your cattle handling skills, strengthen biosecurity, or elevate your entire operation, Stockmanship and Stewardship offers everything you need to stay ahead in the industry. Registration is now open. Full registration is $50. Student registration is free. The Missouri Veterinary Medical Board has approved up to 7 hours of veterinary continuing education for licensed veterinarians attending this event. That's 2 hours on September 4th, 3 hours on September 5th, and 2 hours on September 6th. The event will be held at Missouri State University at the William H. Darr Agriculture Center. The Missouri Cattlemen's Association recommends 3 hotels: Hampton Inn, Springfield South, Sleep Inn, Springfield South, and the Holiday Inn Express and Suites. You can find a link to those hotels at mocattle.com. The event is sponsored by Neogen, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Beef Quality Assurance Program, and the Beef Checkoff. Again, you can go to mocattle.com and scroll down until you see the Stockmanship and Stewardship banner ad. Last month, the 2025 Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting took place in San Diego. Lane Nordland from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association sat down with Colin Woodall, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, to discuss key takeaways from that meeting. We condensed Mr. Woodall's comments into the tightest block that we could from that meeting. Have a listen.
Joining me now is Colin Woodall, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And Colin, as we were here in San Diego, a lot of work accomplished in the committees and subcommittees. Why is that work so important to the future of the industry?
Well, it's important because NCBA is truly a grassroots organization. That means that the producer members of this association are the ones that tell us as the staff what to do. And the summer business meeting really is the hub of that activity to evaluate the policies we already have, to look at policies we need to have, so that way we are armed with the will of the members to then go to Washington, D.C. and promote our activities, promote our position, and ultimately do everything we can to protect the membership of this association.
Now you bring up protecting the membership, and protecting the livestock themselves is key. New World screwworm, top of mind for producers right now. What is NCBA doing to protect the U.S. cattle industry from that threat?
Well, New World screwworm has definitely been a big part of the discussion here in San Diego, and our position as a national trade association has been to work very closely with a lot of our state affiliates, including the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association, the Texas Cattle Feeders Association, to get prepared. And it really is preparation through multiple levels. One is to support Secretary Rollins and the work that she is already doing to help protect us from New World screwworm. The other side is to make sure that she has all the resources and funding from Congress to be able to do what she needs to do in the response. And then to help make sure that we are educating producers on the threats of New World screwworm, what to look for, and more importantly, how to treat this pest. Because we know we can treat it, we also know we can eradicate it, and that's the goal, to eradicate this pest and push it back into South America where it came from.
Now, Colin, setting a direction for the beef industry is vital to having goals and accomplishing those goals. And here in San Diego, the beef industry's new long-range plan was released. Can you share a few of those priorities that were shared with producers this week?
The long-range plan was a result of almost a year's worth of work by a task force of members of not only this association, but also of various segments within the cattle and beef industry supply chain. And they really looked at where we are today as an industry and where we want to go as an industry. This is something we do every 5 years. This is really a roadmap for us to be able to help define the work that we do, not only on the policy side of NCBA, but also the work that is done with the Chekhov-funded Federation of State Beef Councils. And we're going to focus on things such as research and innovation. We have to continually improve as producers to be able to stay viable. And in order to continually improve, we need to have new methods, new productions, new ideas. So research is key. We have to maintain our conversation with the consumer so that way we keep demand high. As long as we have high demand, we will always have a bright future for this association. We need to keep talking to the policymakers because they have a huge impact on our success. And ultimately, all of this plan is focused on viability of our industry, viability of being a cattle producer, and making sure that we can protect our producers' rights to stay on the land, to protect their resources, to protect their cattle, and more importantly, to provide a future for their families.
Next, we have a piece from the Columbia Missourian. The Columbia Missourian is a publication that's put together by the University of Missouri School of Journalism. This piece was put together by Hannah Race. Here's the headline: American-raised Wagyu beef can cost $100 a pound, and Missouri farmers are signing up. How widespread is Wagyu? Let's take a look. From Hannah Race's piece: the chance of finding premium Japanese Wagyu beef can be pretty rare in the U.S., and Missouri farmers are starting to fill the gap. A prime cut of Wagyu beef exported from Japan on Amazon can cost up to $250 a pound. But what you're buying is considered the finest piece of meat you can put on a plate. To be considered authentic Wagyu beef, it must come from purebred cows in specific regions in Japan. Cows that are relatively scarce with deliberately formulated diets to achieve the proper ratio of fat to red meat called marbling. And the prices reflect the scarcity. 4 pounds of imported ground Wagyu cost $69. Nice. On Amazon, a 12-ounce ribeye is $134, and 2 8-ounce filet mignons are $250. A 10-pound Japanese Wagyu rib roast on Amazon costs $1,215. The piece continues. So It is no surprise that Missouri farmers have tried to find a way to get into the Wagyu business. Today, 51 Wagyu beef farms in Missouri are listed with the American Wagyu Association, and we'll get to that list a little bit later on. Miss Race continues, but because Japan stopped exporting genetically pure Wagyu cattle in 1997, declaring it a, quote, national treasure, unquote, most American farmers crossbreed the cattle with Angus beef cows. Only a very small percentage of farmers in the U.S. have full-blooded stock descended from original bloodlines that are registered with the association. Crossbreeding lowers the price, but American-raised Wagyu beef is still quite expensive. Ground Wagyu averages $14 to $16 per pound. Ribeyes can cost $60 to $120 or more per pound, and a 7-pound rib roast costs more than $400. Ms. Race went on to profile a couple different folks that produce Wagyu beef. The first one is Douglas Wagyu Cattle Company in Greenfield. Now, Ms. Race doesn't make a note of this, but Greenfield is down in Dade County. So if you picture the Springfield area and the Joplin area, Greenfield is north of both of those cities. Douglas Wagyu Cattle Company in Greenfield was established in 2020 by Jake and Christina Douglas. The couple started the farm after Jake Douglas retired from the Navy and fell in love with Japanese A5 Wagyu beef, the highest grade available. Miss Race goes on to say that the farm was named Grand Champion winner at the 2024 Triple Crown Steak Challenge, the only Wagyu steak competition in the United States. Douglas said he and his wife follow the traditional Japanese model of raising Wagyu beef on their farm, with humane practices, special feed, hand-picked genetics, and limited production. Of note, the farm typically raises 800 to 100 Wagyu cattle at a time, with 8 to 10 feeder steers kept in a barn in separate pens. This allows them to monitor each animal's health and measure the amount of grain and wheat each cow is fed. My goal is to make the perfect steak, Douglas said. Miss Race also profiles the Hiroshi Ranch in Kaiser. Now, Miss Race doesn't tell us exactly where Kaiser is, but it's down in Miller County. So picture the Lake of the Ozarks area. Hiroshi Ranch in Kaiser was founded in 2016 and sells its Wagyu beef throughout the country. A gentleman who works there, named Stephen George, talked to Miss Race. He says the cattle are free range. They graze on grass in the pasture and are fed a combination of organic K-cow powder, flaxseed oil, and perilla oil. The diet is designed to add a distinctive flavor to the meat with a subtle chocolate essence, according to the Hiroshi Ranch. Miss Race asked the question, why is Wagyu so expensive? She says, in Japan, smaller land parcels only allow 10 to 100 cattle to graze on a feedlot, which gives farmers a chance to monitor them directly. They're fed for up to 2 years with a special diet. If cared for properly, the cattle mature with a natural ability to marble a high-caliber piece of beef. Usually, the end product of Wagyu beef grades higher on the USDA grading scale. F1 is 50% Wagyu and 50% Angus beef. F2 is 75% Wagyu and 25% Angus beef. Purebred is almost fully Wagyu, but not 100%. And full blood is 100% Wagyu. Ms. Race continues, in the 1970s and 80s, Japanese Wagyu was introduced to an international audience, which drove demand in the U.S. The limited number of Wagyu cattle after Japan banned exports in the 90s only contributed to its appeal, as it banned both live cattle and their DNA. In recent years, influential chefs and upscale restaurants began to market Wagyu beef as luxury items on their menu. When American ranchers and farmers successfully began to raise beef that rivaled its Japanese counterparts, it became more available to home cooks. Today, history, scarcity, reviews, and marketing have converged to elevate Wagyu beef to premium status. Miss Race ends with a quote from Gracie Smith, Director of Marketing and Promotions for the American Wagyu Association. Wagyu cattle produce arguably the finest beef in the world. If you're looking for a map of Wagyu producers that are registered in the state of Missouri, you can go to Wagyu, that's wagyu.digitalbeef.com. That's wagyu.digitalbeef.com. And in fact, if you go to that map, you will see in New Haven, right here in our 4-county listening area, Marble Ridge Specialty Farms in New Haven. That's Tim Shear's operation. And you can find them and more about their operation and the products they offer for sale at marbleridgefarms.com. That's marbleridgefarms.com. And with that, we put a cap on today's B block. Today, B certainly stood for beef. If we go any longer in this segment, the station owner, Brad Hildebrand, will have my neck. Maybe he'll have my head on a platter. Maybe he'll turn me into Wagyu. When we come back, in C block today, 2 heavyweights in the ag industry reported their quarterly earnings this week. Their conference calls with Wall Street analysts lasted for hours. But ain't nobody got time to listen to all that. So we just cherry-picked the highlights, the items of relevance to farmers right here in Warren County, Franklin County, St. Charles County, and West St. Louis County. We'll play those in C block. You're listening to The Farm Show right here on Westplex Talk 104.5. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.